Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines we're tracking for you this evening. The equity markets begin the week on a strong note. The Nifty hits a new record high as it closes above 22,100 for the first time. The sensex and the mid-cap index end closer to their own record highs. Overall market cap hits a record of above 392 lakh crores. PTM shares rebound after the RBI extends the deadline for the curbs on its payment bank business to kick in. Stock gains 5% even as the company ties up with Axis Bank for its merchant payment settlement business. It is in talks with more banks for a second partnership for its escrow services. CNBC-TV18 learns Dr. Reddy's may be in the race to pick up Swiss drug maker Novartis AG stake in Novartis India. The buzz comes just days after Novartis announced a strategic review of 70% of its stake in its Indian subsidiary. That's a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. Investors give a thumbs up to Quest Corp's plans to split into 3 independent listed entities. The management says the move will unlock shareholder value and address the conglomerate's discount issue. The stock surges 13%. Japan's Mitsubishi Corp to enter India's car sales market through a partnership with TVS. Report says it will pick up a 32% stake in a new TVS spin-off called TVS Vehicle Mobility Solutions. Pegs Mitsubishi's investment at between 5 and 10 billion yen. Sources say SpiceJet's Ajay Singh and Ease My Trip's Nishant Pitti have placed a combined bid of around 600 crore rupees to revive Go First. The bidders plan to settle a portion of creditor dues by monetizing the airline's land parcels. We also look at selling Go First aircraft slots and bilateral flying rights. That's a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. Farmers halt their march to Delhi after the latest round of talks with the government ministers in Chandigarh. The government has proposed 5-year contracts for a minimum support price on 5 crops. Does not offer any legal guarantee on MSP. Farmer leaders say they will discuss their future course of action after discussing the proposals. Tamil Nadu's budget mixes measures to rebuild the economy with populism ahead of the general elections, allocates 3,500 crores to build 8 lakh homes for the poor by 2030 and 12,000 crores to expand the Chennai metro, also plans more hydropower projects. The finance minister hits out at the centre for not releasing any disaster relief to the state, promises a scheme to give 1,000 rupees a month to boys from government schools who are pursuing higher education. The Israel War Cabinet member warns of a long-threatened offensive in Rafah if hostages held by Hamas are not freed by Ramadan. The Netanyahu government also formalizes its opposition to what it called the unilateral recognition of Palestine statehood. Well, let's start with the action on Dalal Street this Monday. After an initial bout of weakness, the bulls took charge and new record highs were scaled. The Nifty hitting an intraday record high of above 22,180, closing above 22,100 for the first time. The sensex and the mid-cap also made strong headways. So that's the Nifty up by 81 points. The sensex 281 points high. The Nifty Bank added about 0.5% or so, and the mid-cap index similarly closing at its own record high. Those two indices are less than 1% away from an all-time high now. In all, the combined market cap of Indian equities has hit a record above 392 lakh crore rupees during this trading session. Prashant is standing by now to take us through the market action of the day. Prashant, starting Monday with a bang.
With a bang, and beat many banks, Shireen, with the market making newer and newer highs, isn't it? By the way, we had a bit of a sell-off in the last 60 minutes. I'm going to start with that because otherwise we were basically cruising along and we would have had closes which would have been around 22,200 or so, which was not the case. So there was that 60-70 point pullback, as you can see on the Nifty chart, but this was still a very good close. Now, the thing is, we have closed once again exactly where the Nifty first got on the 15th of January. Since then, there have been 2 or 3 tests of this 22,130 level, and each time the market has seen a sharp but swift kind of a pullback. Will we see this once again, or is there enough in the tank for the market to keep going higher? That's the question. But I'll just quickly recap the rest of the market action. The Nifty Bank will come up on your screen. We ended, after all said and done, by 3:30 in the middle of the trading range for the Nifty Bank, but higher. Mid caps and small caps, not at the day's high, came off the highs, but again, a pretty decent sort of session for both the indices. What was under pressure was real estate, PSU banks and IT services. What was higher today was FMCG and pharma. If you're looking at pockets of what did poorly and what did well. Now the large caps, right? The cuts coming through today in names like Coal India, which actually sold off sharply. News came in the last hour of trade. There was Wipro, which had gone up about 10% in the last 2 days, sold off a little bit. And there was Larsen and Toubro, which also came off. There was news with L&T as well. On the gaining side, there was Grasim, Bajaj Finserv, there was Bajaj Auto, which was up. Cipla, Bharti and ICICI Bank were some of the other names which participated in the upside. Advanced decline, it was completely one way, but it was much more two-way kind of market flows on both sides by 3:30. So I'll start with gainers here. MRPL has gone up $100 in the last 4 sessions. It's been a spectacular gainer. HFCL, big gains today. There was Electra, Green Tech. Dixon was up about 5%. Rain Industries has been going up all of 2024 so far. PB Fintech, there was news there. IRDAI approving, their entry into the reinsurance broking business. Quest Corp, ERL, CRISIL. There was Shilpa Medicare, which went up 10%. Inox Wind, and so on and so forth. Some pullbacks as well. Sula Vineyards was lower. HDFC AMC sold off a little bit. There was Home First, which was down sharply. Genus Power, rate gain had gone up 10% last Friday. It pulled back about 5 or 6% today. So a very vibrant screen, a very vibrant market as we kind of look ahead. The question is, as I said, is there enough in the tank for the market to keep going in this current leg, or will we see a bit of a pullback before the uptrend resumes? No US market action today. US is out for a holiday, so there'll be that vacuum when we come back in the morning, but we'll have Asia for company. Back to you.
All right, Prashant, many thanks. It's been a strong start to the week, but there was some profit taking at high levels, as we just heard there from Prashant. But one company that's been in the news is PTM Payments Bank, and of course, the shares of this company hit the upper circuit today. We're talking about PTM now, after the Reserve Bank of India gave a breather by extending the deadline by which the restrictions on its payments bank business will kick in. So now investors also drew some comfort from the company partnering with Axis Bank for its merchant payment settlement business. Ritu joins us now with the details. So Ritu, as far as PTM Payments Bank is concerned, the RBI giving an extension for consumers and depositors to make the switch. What else has PayTM been able to do to try and mitigate the risks associated with that new deadline?
Well, a small breather for PTM Payments Bank, with the Reserve Bank of India extending the deadline for the curbs to kick in on its banking business, wallets, FASTag, etc. by 15 days to the 15th of March from February 29th earlier, and RBI's FAQ indicating that merchants can use PTM's QR, Soundbox, etc. if their account is not linked with PTM Payments Bank. But for all other banking activities, RBI has indicated customers will have to move their account elsewhere, whether it is for EMI payments, wallets, OTT subscription, etc. by the 15th of March. Separately, PayTM has got itself a lifeline of sorts. It announced that it has moved its nodal escrow account to Axis Bank from PTM Payments Bank to allow its merchants to continue to use the PTM QR, POS, etc. for accepting payments. But keep in mind, this will only help those merchants which have their bank accounts linked elsewhere, because for the remaining 10 to 15% of its 4 crore merchant base, the bank account would still have to be shifted to another bank to be able to continue using PayTM services. Now, Jefferies has moved PayTM's operator, that is 197 Communications, to not rated from underperform until it says the news flow settles down. It says that without a banking license, PayTM's business model will become similar to any pure play payment provider like Google Pay or Phone Pay, and it expects that PayTM will have to dip into its 8,500 crore rupee cash reserve to spend on retaining users. Bernstein believes that the extension and the RBI hinting at merchants being able to use PayTM's QR terminals if not linked to the PayTM Payments Bank account is incrementally positive. But the fact that RBI FAQ provided no explicit exception for a bulk transfer of wallets or FASTags to another bank is a negative. Citi noted that FAQs do not directly address bank partnerships with PayTM, but the nodal account partnership with Axis will likely pave the way for other partners and is overall positive.
All right, Ritu, many thanks for joining us. That's the latest as far as PTM Payments Bank is concerned. Well, here's a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. Pharma major Dr. Reddy's plans to acquire Novartis AG stake in its India business. Now, sources have told us that the company plans to purchase Novartis' domestic-focused portfolio and may offer a controlling premium for the same. Vivek, who broke that story, joins us now with the details. Vivek, take us through what is likely on the table and, of course, reactions coming in from both sides.
Well, that's right. Earlier today we reported about how sources have indicated to us that Dr. Reddy is leading the race as far as acquiring Novartis AG's little over 70% stake. As far as BSE listed Novartis India is concerned, we reached out to Dr. Reddy, we reached out to Novartis as well. Dr. Reddy didn't comment on this particular story to us, but to the exchanges, they have clarified that at this point of time, there is no material development as yet that could go ahead and prompt a response from them. However, what we've actually understood from our sources is that Dr. Reddy is quite keen, in fact, quite aggressively pursuing the entire stake. We also understand that in order to get that complete control of Novartis India, they are looking at offering a slight control premium or a price that is slightly above the current market price of Novartis India. We also understand that in the past, Dr. Reddy and Novartis have actually done quite a few distribution agreements together, and they have had strategic partnerships as well in the past, which has worked in favor of Dr. Reddy, which has made Dr. Reddy quite positive as far as acquiring this particular stake is concerned. Now, coming to Novartis India, like we mentioned, we did reach out to them multiple times on Friday, post which the company put out a release to both journalists as well as to the exchanges, indicating about how Novartis AG is going to do a strategic review of the little over 70% stake that they hold in Novartis India. So it's going to be interesting to see what is the final outcome of this particular development. Novartis also responded to our queries. They're saying that while the strategic review is being undertaken, at this point of time, no final decision has been taken as yet in order who will be getting that particular stake. Interestingly, Nomura has gone ahead and responded and reacted to our development as well. What they're saying is, number one, they've quoted our story. They're saying, given the past relationship between Dr. Reddy and Novartis, Dr. Reddy may pursue the acquisition of Novartis stake in Novartis India quite aggressively. They believe that this acquisition will help expand Dr. Reddy's portfolio in India, and Dr. Reddy in the past has stated his intent to grow and pursue inorganic opportunities in the Indian market and also grow its domestic focused portfolio.
Vivek, many thanks for joining us. Now, shares of Quest Corp recorded their biggest gain in a single trading session since November of 2020. This after the company announced a demerger of its existing businesses into 3 independent listed entities. Quest Corp will continue to remain in workforce management. The second entity, Digitide Solution, will hold business process management solutions and InsurTech and HRO business. The third entity, Blue Spring Enterprises, will look after facility management, industrial services and investments. The demerger is likely to be completed in the next 12 to 15 months. The management says the move will unlock shareholder value, simplify corporate structure and enhance management focus to accelerate profitable growth.
We expect our staffing business to grow between 17 and 18% over a period of time on a larger base. The other 2 businesses will grow in excess of 20%, or less. In Blue Spring, we expect our business to grow about 4 times GDP growth rate. I wouldn't venture into guessing what the market would price our shares at, but I would want to say that we had suffered from a conglomerate discount in the past. We expect that to be removed.
Well, that's Quest Corp. Now, Japanese giant Mitsubishi Corporation is looking at driving into India's car sales market. It's partnered with TVS Mobility and will pick up a 32% stake in its new spin-off TVS Vehicle Mobility Solutions. Reports suggest Mitsubishi's investment is expected to range between $33 and $66 million. On to another CNBC-TV18 exclusive this evening. Sources say SpiceJet's Ajay Singh and EaseMyTrip's Nishant Pitti have placed a combined bid of about 600 crore rupees to revive Go First, adding that the bidders plan to settle a portion of the creditor dues by monetizing the airline's land parcel. They may also look at selling Go First aircraft slots and bilateral flying rights. All of this, of course, only if their bid does go through and get the creditor's approval. Let's go across to Madiha now. She's standing by with the details. Madiha, 600 crores, that's the number that Ajay Singh and Nishant Pitti are putting down for Go First?
Absolutely, Shireen. This is the first time that Go First resolution process has reached the bidding stage ever since it grounded nearly a year ago. Last week, 2 suitors placed their bids to buy the airline. One is Sharjah-based Skyone and the other is Ajay Singh and Nishant Pitti's joint offer. Sources say Ajay Singh and Busy Bee together have offered around 600 crores to revive Go First that had declared bankruptcy. Sources close to the bidders say they hope to restart the airline in 2 months if the committee of creditors approve their bid. So what exactly will be the road going ahead? Sources say the bid has been made considering some major assets belonging to Go First. This includes 2 big land parcels, one in Thane and the other in Powai. Selling these land parcels could rake in a huge amount that the bidders are expecting to be used to settle creditors' dues. Then they are also pinning their hopes on receiving $300 million from engine maker Pratt & Whitney in the arbitral award won by Go First. Further, the Singh Pitti consortium planned to sell Go First 72 Airbus aircraft slots to other airlines. We had reported last week that this sale alone could fetch the buyers more than $500 million. They also plan to capitalize on Go First's international bilateral flying rights and prime slots at key airports including Mumbai and Delhi. Then the bidders are also confident of having cooperation from aircraft lessors, which is very important, with 18 operational aircraft that SpiceJet can use to support its fleet. Go First has about 460 employees still with the airline, and the consortium plans to retain most of them. Experts say while this may sound very easy, it may not be that smooth to execute this plan. Whether the Airbus slots can be easily available, whether the government will allow selling the bilateral rights and airport slots to other airlines, and most importantly, whether lenders will be okay to recover dues by selling the land. We will get more clarity as more details emerge.
All right, Madhya, many thanks for joining us. That's the latest as far as Go First is concerned. We will head into a break, but up next, farmers halt their march to Delhi after the latest round of talks with government ministers in Chandigarh. More details when we return. Now, farmers have put their Delhi Chalo march on hold after holding the latest round of talks with government ministers in Chandigarh. The government has proposed 5-year contracts for a minimum support price on 5 crops. However, the government has not offered any legal guarantee on the MSP. Farmer leaders have said that they will discuss their future course of action after discussing the proposal at their forums over the next 2 days. Tamil Nadu Finance Minister has presented his maiden budget for the state. He did make a host of announcements and outlined the 7 grand Tamil dream, which includes a focus on social justice, women's welfare and Tamil culture. He also announced a new scheme to build 8 lakh houses for the poor in a bid to make the state hut-free by 2030. Jude Sanet joins us now from Chennai. Jude, take us through the highlights of the Tamil Nadu budget.
Well, barely months since the previous finance minister, that's Palanivel Thiagarajan, announced that, allowance of 1,000 rupees per month for all women students pursuing higher education and who studied in government schools. The new finance minister, Thangam Tennarasu, in his maiden budget, has extended that scheme to all male students. So chances are, if you're a male student pursuing higher education and from a government school in Tamil Nadu, you stand to benefit from 1,000 rupees per month by way of allowance itself. This, of course, was in addition to a number of other schemes like development of women self-help groups and building of hostels for all working women employees, of course. But it hasn't been good reading as far as the fiscal deficit numbers in Tamil Nadu are concerned. That number, in fact, inching very slightly lower from 3.46% of the state GDP last year to about 3.45%. So a marginal reduction, even as projected numbers also don't make for great reading, 3.44%. So more or less unchanged, even as revenue deficit sees a big ocean in between last year and this year's estimate. Of course, the state says that's owing to back-to-back natural calamities in floods and cyclones, both in Chennai and the southern part of Tamil Nadu. But the good news is that the state expects to make good on its own revenue by about 14.7% in the next fiscal, even as devolution of the state's share of central taxes is all set to go up by 7.4% as per the latest or revised estimates of the union budget. But some interesting allocations have made their way this year. A mammoth 60,000 crore rupees has been set aside for the development of hydroelectric power stations in the state, even as a whopping 12,000 crore rupees has been set aside for the extension of the ongoing Phase 2 of the Chennai Metro Rail. A number of other allocations as well, like you mentioned, 3,500 crore rupees for developing 8 lakh homes to put shelters over the heads of poor people, even as we're seeing a close to 1,000 crore rupees set aside by way of development of existing government schools. So a host of announcements, even as the state hopes to make good on its revenue in the coming fiscal and hopes to get more than, its existing share of tax devolution from central financial resources.
The state GST is doing well. We are hopeful that 15% growth is we are expecting. So in registration and as well as in other areas also, the minerals also we have revised it. Motor vehicles is really hopeful. It's doing very well. So at the same time, we are using a lot of modernization. In fact, the data analytics unit has been set up in the commercial taxes being. So we are using data in an extensive way to probably prevent any leakages or evasion, so that we are in the full grip of the things.
Well, the Finance Minister of Tamil Nadu, the Supreme Court has criticised the way the Chandigarh mayoral election was conducted, going as far as to call it a business of horse trading. Further, the Apex Court has called for the poll ballots and the video evidence to be placed before it by tomorrow. A quick background, the Congress and the AAP had moved the Punjab and Haryana High Court alleging vote tampering during the mayoral election. They moved the Supreme Court after the High Court denied to grant them relief. Ashmit standing by now with more strong observations coming in from the Chief Justice. Ashmit, what next?
Indeed, these observations coming in light of news reports of 3 Aam Aadmi Party councillors reported to have jumped ship from Aam Aadmi Party to the BJP, and it is this that was taken note of by the CJR. He observed that he has been reading the newspapers, he has been privy to the news reports, and going on to say that this looks more like this is the business of horse trading. In fact, going a step forward and saying that any interference with the electoral process, the electoral democracy process, is in fact the gravest of offences. And that observation coming in light of actions of the returning officer, which was recorded on camera. In fact, the returning officer, Massey, was present as a part of these court proceedings. He was grilled by the CJI-led bench. Questions asked of him as to why he tampered with the ballots, what gave him the power, what rules gave him the power, why he was looking at the camera. His explanation was sought. The Supreme Court not satisfied, even observing at one point that he needs to be prosecuted, that this is a clear case of tampering with the ballots. Now, what's interesting is the electoral math. Now, if the report of 3 candidates who were reported to have jumped ship from Aam Aadmi Party to the BJP, if those rumours are true, then the electoral math is in the BJP's favour in the ratio of 19:17. But here's where the Supreme Court observation becomes important. The Supreme Court observed that it is not in favour of granting a new election, sanction to a new election. It is in favour of considering the older ballots and then consider the final result. And if the older ballots are to be considered, the ratio is then split between 16:20 in favour of the Aam Aadmi Party. So tomorrow is when the Apex Court will be reviewing these ballots. It has called for these ballots to be submitted before it. Tomorrow in the afternoon, 2 p.m. is when we'll begin to get more clarity.
Well, important observations there coming in from the Supreme Court. Ashmit, many thanks for joining us. With that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360. Don't go anywhere. We're back with a lot more right after this break.